Dan Lanning and the Ducks are ready to whoop the dogs. That's according to Dan Lanning himself. He was on Paul Feinbaum. Oh, a little bit before the draft, right? During the draft, I can't remember. Here's what Dan had to say to Paul. He said, "What an opportunity! You get an opportunity to test yourself against one of the best teams in the nation. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for that program and what they've built over the last few years. But I think it's a great test for our players to go in there and see what we're made of. I promise Kirby wants to whoop my tail, and I promise I want to whoop his. We're both competitors, and we'll both do the best we can do to prepare our teams for that game." Uh, Dan Lanning, uh, at minimum, helped build Georgia's championship run, so he's being pretty modest here during all of this. But I'm sure he wants to whip Kirby. Yeah, I don't think there's much doubt about that. When you go up against your friends, you only, you know, in tennis, you're playing someone straight up. Like there is a winner and loser. You don't get that all the time in football because there's, guys like Dan Lanning. They don't usually end up, they leave to go to the Pac-12, and you might not ever see him again. He gets to greet the dogs right away. Can he take advantage of that? Um, can he somehow pull an upset with a former SEC quarterback, a guy who has won a lot of big games in the league? They both have. Can they get Georgia on a championship high and try to knock them off the pedestal? I don't think so right now. That game is Georgia's a 15-point favorite. It's May 1st, right? So we don't know what we don't know coming into that game. There could be all sorts of things can happen between then and or now and then. But it is going to be tough for Dan Lanning. Now, I do think the best part about this, and this is not exclusive to what Dan had to say, is they both get to test each other, test one another on that first weekend. It's an important, thing. A season ago, when the Dogs won the national championship, the first game they played was, of course, Clemson, and that was the game of the year as far as college football was concerned. Well, it turned out, coming into the season at least, it turned out that Clemson, didn't have the season they wanted, ended up in the cheese. I don't remember the bowl game, but um, Cheez It Bowl, not cheese. I was about to say cheese puffs, but it made for some huge moments in the season. When you look at Chris Smith's career, he'll never, uh, he will always be able to, he will always be remembered for his moment taking back DJ Uiagalelei's pick um, in the thick Charlotte night. And that's the sort of thing that makes national championship runs. And Dan Lanning's crew gets a chance to, put their stamp on the season. You can pick up DAWGSTRUCTION with the link down below. These are running low. If you want to see it for yourself, you go to Red Zone in Athens on Clayton Street. If you want me to sign the book for you after you buy it, just make sure you send me an email, dean@dogpost.com. But again, the link for DAWGSTRUCTION is down below. For Dan Lanning, I think this is really this. It's not like the Carolina Georgia game in 2016. Excuse me. It's not like that because both teams could have won that game, and Oregon can win this game. But come on, they're not. They're a two touchdown underdog. That's not an insignificant line. Um, for Dan, it gives him the ability immediately to tell, okay, we can either win the Pac-12 or we can't. And you're going up against a program that has won while you were there the Sugar Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and the national championship. I mean, that's about as good as you can get. I mean, the only thing they're missing is the SEC championship, and Alabama can tell you that ain't what it used to be, right? Georgia can too. In 17, they basically swapped positions on that deal. What does Kirby get out of this? A few things. Number one, exposure. Right off the bat, it's going to be, I would say, the number 2 game, possibly the number 3 game that weekend. The first game is definitely going to be Ohio State Notre Dame. Do not fool yourself. That will be the spotlight game. I am curious, and we're going to see this in a couple of weeks, where Fox will put that game. I believe that's a Fox game. I believe that. There was been some trading because of some broadcasting rights stuff, and Fox traded Disney a game or two. I wouldn't have traded that game, but anyway, uh, so Disney needs to figure out where they're going to put Georgia, Oregon. I wouldn't want to put it up against Ohio State, Notre Dame, but if I were Fox, I wouldn't want to play Ohio State, Notre Dame at noon. I mean, I know that's what they do. I know that's when their big games are. You're talking about Ohio State, Notre Dame. That, and it's August, or I mean, it'll be, August. You don't want to play that game there. You have an opportunity to pull in 10 million viewers. So when will this game, Oregon Georgia, be? Will it be 3:30 kick, or will it be a night game? I don't know. And then by the way, the kind of interesting game that Alabama will win it, but Utah State Alabama is another game that is a very curious to me game because Utah State's got a legitimate chance to win the Mountain West, and some people say if they can run the table after Alabama that they have a chance to play in the playoff. I don't think so. I think they'd have to beat Alabama, but we can talk about all of that in the near future. I think the curious thing about this Oregon game, obviously, the number one thing is this is the first game of the season. You get to see Stetson. You get to probably see Carson Beck, my guess, and maybe in the second quarter. How much better is this defense going to be? Can they, or excuse me, how much worse is this defense going to be? Is it going to be able to hang in there? Bo Nix represents a very serious challenge in terms of containment at quarterback. Uh, that's not nothing, right? I mean, dealing with him is not a lot of fun. Now, if you pin him in, but what Oregon's going into is going to be a snake pit. You're playing Georgia, which is not a lot of fun to begin with, but you're playing them in Atlanta, and I would argue that although you might have 6 to 8 thousand fans there, I think it's a tougher atmosphere for the road team in Atlanta than it is in Athens. It's a domed facility. It is closer to most Georgia fans than Athens in terms of just pure number of people. Um, I think that you will not be able to do snap count the way you want, and when they score and when the momentum changes. To me, it's even worse at the dome for the road team. And make no mistake about it, Gary Stoken and them did a great job putting this game together, but Oregon is the road team, period. We're going to see Kirby Smart play later this week in the Chick-fil-A golf classic, whatever they call it, for the promotion for this game. So he might have a thing or two to say about this game, but I am certain Dan Lanning wants to whip Kirby the same way. I'm sure Kirby wants to make sure that he stays in his place, so to speak. You don't want to lose to an assistant. It took Nick like a decade to lose to an assistant, and here's Kirby's first chance. uh, I think some of the difference between Nick and Kirby is Kirby's assistants, and I don't want to go too. I mean, Kirby's assistants have gotten better jobs off the bat. Now, I kind of probably need to go back and look, but Michigan State, Oregon, those are high level in their conference, and a lot of Nick's guys that left, they didn't get that. They got sort of mid-level SEC, which is not quite the same. Anyway, hey, pick up the book. I'm running out of them. We'll see you on the website.